If you find yourself in a relationship with someone who's unable to commit to you, you may have made up a story in your mind, making meaning that you're not valuable, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're not attractive enough. And if this resonates, I want you to know that this has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. At the same time, it has everything to do with you, which I'll explain later in this video. I know that's a little bit of a mind twist, but if you don't know me, my name's Deborah, and I'm a transformational healer and intuitive coach. And I want to talk about when you find yourself in this relationship that you are bargaining for to get them to commit to you. And this is why they don't. Okay. So the first one is a committed relationship requires vulnerability. And this person that you've been with is unable to be vulnerable because they have stories in their mind from their past experiences where being vulnerable isn't safe. Now, it's not always the case, but I have found with clients, friends, groups that this is usually why they are unable to be vulnerable and to allow love in and allow to exchange of that emotional intimacy. So this is usually because maybe they've been abandoned or rejected, whether it's been in childhood or maybe even in past relationships. So the second point is they want the benefits of the connection without the risk. The friends with benefits, the situationship, right? This is so common these days. And it appears that they can be very selfish for doing that because they want connection, they want affection, they want, the love and all of that, but they don't want to go all in because they still want their freedom. They want options. They don't want, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Even if you have an emotional reaction to it, you're triggered by it, there's nothing technically wrong with it, but it's if you are someone who wants a full committed relationship with someone, this person would not be a good fit for you. So what happens when you are in this type of situation is they're bargaining with life in many ways. They have a hard time committing to uh, a lot of things in life. Okay, it's a tendency, or they call it avoidant, right? And so, what happens when you get involved with somebody like that, you become a bargainer too. You start bargaining with them and yourself, mainly with yourself, because it's like you may say to yourself, okay, I need to get away from this person, it's not working, and then they send you a text, they breadcrumb you, they come back around after maybe a period of silence or a period of not being around, and then you get excited and you get hopeful, and then you engage again, and the mind is very tricky. It'll start to bargain like, well, okay, I can go and do this and enjoy, because you're really uh, entering into the controlling and manipulating tendency as well. And they do it too, because when they are coming around when it's convenient, it's a way of controlling and manipulating, whether they're conscious of it or not. And so it can be very frustrating and heartbreaking for people if that's not what they want. And I've seen people pretend that it's okay to have a situationship, but deep down they don't. And so that's where you're really going against your own heart and what you truly want. So number three, these type of people that can't commit, they're still the center of their story. Okay, they're still the center of their life. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if they are not being truthful with themselves or you, then that's where things can get really sticky. So it's if they are committed to having freedom and having options, then that's where I know Mel Robbins says, let them be that way. It is what it is. But it's not fair to you to to kind of dine and dash. I call it dine and dash. So, um, number 4, stop waiting for them to choose you. This is huge. Oh my gosh. I mean, people that I do sessions with, oh my God, so many people are waiting for them to change, hoping, waiting for them to choose you. And that is just the only way that can happen, the possibility of it happening, is when you change your projections about yourself and about them, which I will talk about in a minute in the last point. Because when you start rewriting the story of what you want, it's a game changer. Everything will start to shift in your life. So for now, in this 3D world, if you're involved with somebody like this, chances are they're not going to shift. They're not going to choose you. And it's up to you to start choosing you. And how you do that is that you don't engage anymore. It's easier said than done when you have feelings for someone and maybe you have love for them and they're treating you as an option and breadcrumbing you. It can be very painful to walk away from. But you're claiming your self-worth, right? You're claiming um your you're claiming your who you are, okay? And you're not compromising anymore. So point number 5 is release the story and rewrite the script. So usually when we, and I've said this in some other videos, usually when we are choosing somebody like this, or we find ourselves in a situationship, what are we telling ourselves? Like, what story are we telling ourselves subconsciously? Because it's usually subconscious that maybe men don't choose me or women don't choose me. So if you're saying that in your subconscious mind, the story that you're holding on to about yourself, that's what's going to be reflected back. You're going to choose or attract someone who is going to not choose you. We are the creator of our existence, of our experiences. There's nothing out there but our own mind and our own the mind is used as a creative tool to create our experiencing. And Eckhart Tolle talks about beingness, which is our true self, and then our mind, which is always creating at every moment. And so you can be in both, in beingness and in the mind, but a lot of us are married to our thoughts, and we also have a lot of subconscious thoughts that we've held on to for eons that are running the show based on past experiences. And so when you're in a situationship, as an example, with someone who's not committing to you, there's two stories going on. Your story is usually, I'm not good enough, I'm not chosen. And their story is, I've gotten hurt, I'm not going to commit because that's too scary and too vulnerable. And so it's not always the case, but it's quite usually the case when someone is being avoidant. Okay. So how do you do that? So you release the subconscious thoughts. First, you write your intention. What is it that you want? And this is what helps people when I work with them one-on-one and in groups, where they feel so heartbroken that, oh my God, this isn't working and I have to walk away from this, or they discarded me, whatever it is. And they have to uh and they feel the feelings of heartbreak. But the way out, and they get excited about, is writing an intention of really what they want and being specific on what they want and releasing the subconscious beliefs and limiting beliefs about themselves and about relationships and about their past, and releasing the trauma of their past. And then as they release, then they start to rewrite the script, writing exactly what they want. And it's so beautiful to see it, because when you can get specific on your intention and be specific on what it is and write the script of what kind of love life that you want, you get excited, you get inspired, and you start and when you really sincerely release with the help of someone uh, coaching you, it's so amazing. I mean, your life becomes magical. And eventually, once you get it and you understand and you experience it, it's not an intellectual thing, it's an experience. Then you can have this amazing magical life that you didn't think was possible. Sorry about that. There's sirens going by. You may not think it's possible, and now you see it as possible because the mind will tell you it's not possible, especially with if you've been through a lot of trauma in life. And that's really tough because those subconscious thoughts can be really stuck in there. And I know for myself, I've been releasing for 10 years and I release every day. And I always find myself, if I'm feeling like stuck about a situation or something's going on, I I always say, what's my intention? What is it? And then I start releasing. What is it that I want? And then I start releasing anything and everything that's in the way that could make that possible. And so when you release the story of yourself, of them, I mean, even calling them an avoidant or a narcissist or whatever, and you just release all of that and stop taking it personally, easier said than done, then anything starts to become possible. And even that person could end up showing up differently. And you just never know. You just don't know. But the mind will say, oh, I know that person will never change. And that's where you're putting them in a box, putting yourself in a box. And that is where, release work is helping you to take a step back and start to question your own thoughts and start rewriting a different story, because the story you've been holding on to got you into this situation with this person. And so there is a way out, and it is very possible, and it's very practical, and it can be very natural. It may not feel natural at first, but it really is magical when you can let go, because you have no idea how when you really understand what releasing is and you start to really experience it, you will see how the whole world is thinking in limitations. It's crazy. I mean, you will see it in yourself and you'll see it in others, and you'll see how much suffering we put ourselves through. We put ourselves through so much suffering. Why? Because it's just the mind. It's the mind. It's your thoughts. And what are thoughts? Can you see thoughts? No. Can you show a thought to somebody? No. They're not even tangible. And yet we are ruled by them. And so releasing is like taking a step back and going, oh my God, I've been holding on to this. Like, I'm not, men don't choose me. That was my mantra. Men don't choose me. Why? Because I felt like that, my first man in my life, my dad, didn't choose me. I mean, emotionally didn't choose me. So it was just automatic. I mean, it was ingrained in my subconscious. I made that decision when I was younger that men don't choose me. And so what happened? Men don't choose, they didn't choose me. So I got rid of that. I let it go. And now it's a whole different experience. And so when you are able to really let these core limiting beliefs about yourself that may not be working in your love life, when you are able to let those go truly, and you start believing that you are worthy and lovable, and that, because you know how you do it, it's not because it's all in your ego. No, you're actually knowing who you really are, which is the beingness, which is what Eckhart Tolle talks about, that true perfection within you, that is the stillness, the beingness, the perfect health, the perfect wealth, the perfect love. That's what you're choosing. You're choosing that highest self, and then the lower self, the ego, follows, right? And so then it integrates into your beingness, into your energy body, into your mind, and you start believing that you are worthy. And you don't have to be bound by genetics. You don't have to be bound uh, by the limiting beliefs that you have said about yourself because of your childhood or adulthood, or what your parents told you about I mean, you can let all that go. It's so awesome. It's letting go of the identification of the stories and the trauma. And people don't see how easy it is. A lot of people don't see how easy it is. It's not, well, no, I'm sorry. It's simple. It's not easy always, but it can be easy. But we make it complicated because that's what the mind does. And we put so much suffering on ourselves. Oh, you know, but I have all these traumas, and I'm not discounting and I'm not poo-pooing at all. I've been through a lot of trauma, and I know that to really release that out of the nervous system is not so easy. But in the way that I've been trained and the way my teacher does it, the way I do it is so empowering and so simple, and it can cut through a lot of time of releasing in other ways. So this is the release the story, rewrite the script. If you're involved with somebody like this, and maybe it keeps repeating with the same person, or you end up choosing people who don't commit to you, this may really help you. So if you want more support, join my community. Everything is in the description in this video, or if you'd like to book a private session and see how magical this work is, I'd love to help you.